I'm Walter Frazier, and we are here to discuss more politics 2016. Before I get going, I wanted to slow things down for a second. A mentor of mine passed away, Orrin Sandel, from the Living Stage in D.C. Phenomenal improviser, actor extraordinaire, just an all-in-all greatest soul, one of the greatest souls I've ever met, if not at the top of the list. So God bless to your family. And on a happier note, I had a whole bunch of emails come in the last 48 hours where students of mine or colleagues of mine, cast members of mine in improv comedy and stand-up comedy, just exploding. One of my students being put on hold for a TV show, and two of my students being requested by another new TV show that Steve Harvey's going to be doing with Ellen DeGeneres. Just amazing stuff happening out there. So before I started getting all stupid and mean and whatnot, I'm not going to go there, but I had to get those things out because one of my biggest complaints about this whole political season is the anger, the vitriol from both sides. I call this little thing I do called angry in the middle. I'm not really that angry. I get worked up when I start talking about all the crap that's going on, and most of my anger is directed towards Donald Trump this year. Not because I love Hillary Clinton, but I don't feel like there's anything new from Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, I know exactly who she is. I know exactly how prepared she is for this job. I know how questionable she is on things where maybe not being always truthful when it comes to quid pro quo type issues, right? But there's just way too much anger. And when I see wonderful things happening to people around me, I think we got to celebrate that more. I think one of the biggest problems that so many people have is that they focus on the negative way too much. And that is so contagious. So I want to take some time, and this, the problem with this kind of thing, it doesn't sell reality TV crap, right? The idiots that like reality TV, sorry if you're one of them. You watch The Bachelor and The Bachelorette to watch girls pull each other's hair out, right? You watch Kim Kardashian to see all the judgmental crap that they go around. And then you complain when girls do like the mean girl thing or bullies, people act shitty to you on the street, but we celebrate it on TV, right? Because that's reality. It's not reality. You know what? I'm tired. I'm sick and tired. And not just because I'm an actor. I find zero entertainment. I remember back in the day when Springer first became big, I never understood it. I'd watch it once in a while, and you just flip it on. It's like, it's on. That's back. We only had 5 or 6 channels anyway. Back in the Stone Age of the '90s, and you turn on Springer or Maury Povich or the Mouth. What's his name? Morty. All those people, and Morton Downey Jr. Right? Morton Downey, I think that was his name. No relation to Robert. But, all these early, he's before Springer. He's still out there. Big Republican, too. He's the kind of guy that probably would vote for Trump because he's crazy. But where we are right now, the world is not anywhere, at least America is not anywhere near as bad off as any of these people that are screaming to the hills think it is. The world is not in a horrible place. We are not in the end times, unless you choose to put us there through your own ignorance and arrogance. Global warming is scary if you really look at the numbers, but it's not too late to, turn things around or at least slow things down until we can figure out how to deal with it. It's not going to be the end of the world overnight. The world is going to change because of it. But enough people don't learn, don't listen, and not in the big things, in the small things. We don't deal with the small things well. We don't deal with the people we love well. We treat the people we love like shit. How do you expect the neighbors and the strangers to treat us? So start just today. Just reach out to the people you love and say, I'm sorry if you've been a shithead. or if they've been shitheads, say, I forgive you. Just reach out. Yes, I'm here twice. Oh, hey, how you doing there? Hey, Stephanie and Chris. Reach out. And so tell Chris you love him while he's there. Reach out. You know, there's so much shit in the world. But it's not like, I don't know, some people have it worse than others. I can't comprehend some of the shit that some people have got to go with. Late last night, I get out of rehearsal for choir, and I have like a dozen texts between my brother, sister, and my mother about my father not feeling too well. Some kind of infection on the leg or something like that related to diabetes. Clearly, I'm not any spring chicken. I'm approaching my mid-40s. I'm in my mid-40s, I suppose, and way overweight, and it's only a matter of time before that stuff gets me. So, I never told you this? I couldn't talk about it last night. I was so upset about it. I knew how I get. I mean, I got the call that he had prostate cancer an hour before going on stage in West Virginia, or Winchester, Virginia, one time. And it's not that big of a deal. They're just monitoring it, but apparently he was bleeding because he was scratching his leg, and Riley noticed it.
Surgery.
Huh?
The surgery initially, they're saying, because they take the beans from that.
Yeah, it's probably related to that, but the diabetes doesn't help. He had bypass surgery at some point. And there's just so much ire, right? And there doesn't have to be. If you're dealing with real stuff, God bless you for having to deal with it. But most of the people that are out there bitching and moaning, like, really don't have it that bad. They really don't. You know, I can't forget that thing that I heard. What's the gross riches or true wealth? There's a website out there you can tap in, type in your country and type in how much money you make, and it'll say exactly. You know, the only reason I put in your country because it tells you how many, which dollar rate to convert it to this, the universal whatever money rate. If you're making $10,000, you're in the top 16%. We always complain about the 1% of this country versus the 99%. But think about it. If you're making $10,000, like you're living below poverty here, you're making like student wages, minimum wage at best, you're already making more money than 85% or 84% of the people in this world. The amount now, our $10,000 might not go as far, or in our minds, what we absolutely have to get by, like our fancy phones and our cable TV and our cool cars and all this stuff and our video games and everything else that we have to get by. I think we need to stop worrying about things. And I'm not talking about being some utopian pacifist. I'm not talking about giving up everything in life or, becoming a Buddhist monk or anything like that. I just say, don't change anything in your life except your need for shit. Because I guarantee you don't need half the shit that you have to be happy. And I bet that half the shit you have, you buy because you don't reach out to the people you love, and that you don't connect, and you don't mend when shit goes wrong, either because you don't know how to forgive or you don't know how to ask for it. And I'll give you a clue. I'm not a genius on this front. I'm just saying, maybe even for myself, we need to do this more. Yeah. And shit will never stop happening. Well, okay, oh yeah, I'm sorry, okay. Well, shit stops happening, right. Shit never stops happening. The only time you stop shitting is after you're dead, probably. But even then, a little bit more could be squeezed out. Depending on how you die, I guess. But shit will always happen. There's always been shit. There always will be shit. And you have the power to focus. Yeah. And there's stupid shit. There's good shit. There's just a lot of shit. And you have the power to choose how you deal with shit. If I have any students watching, I apologize for focusing on shit right now. You have the power to choose how you process. Now, you don't always have the power to process that first minute, right? Sometimes you react and overreact because it's like, what the hell? What the fuck? What? Who the fuck are you to do this to me? How selfish are you? How shitty are you? But then we can take a breath. And we need to take a breath. And we need to just totally say it's not horrible. If that person killed somebody you loved with malicious intent, I understand holding on a grudge longer than for other little things. But how many people out there are holding a grudge against somebody right now because of really stupid shit? I'm serious. And the reason I'm kind of going on this, I'm in this really kind of heartfelt place, losing a mentor, and at the same time being overly happy for students. You know, I personally have just been sitting in the office processing some pretty cool contracts, and you know, for gigs coming up. I'm on the road all day tomorrow. I got a gig in the city in the morning. I'm in Morristown, New Jersey tomorrow night. This fall has been better than normal. This is usually a slow time. I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of things, but I am surrounded by blessed people, and I am happy with what I've got. You know, I really love it when the gigs come in and I don't have to freak out about how I'm going to pay the rent and how I'm going to pay other bills and put food on the table and make sure I have enough gas to get to the next gig. I mean, that's always a beautiful thing. But I'm surrounded by really blessed people, friends, loved ones, just amazing kids, teens and younger, and adults that when they listen, you know, and as a teacher, as a mentor myself, and I see regurgitating stuff that this mentor who just passed away, I can't talk about it, sorry. And I was more close to this person's spouse. Roberta was really my full-time mentor in college and beyond. And as I said in my Facebook post, I don't take stage or teach a class without ever thinking about these two. And Roberta was there, but then there was that one master class I had with Orrin on improv, all about improv. And then there was one time I actually saw him perform, and it was absolutely brilliant. It was like a 10-minute, not even monologue, one-man show, short play, where he just monologued. And it was at the college, but it was just, I think it was Parallax. And yeah, I don't think I knew he was sick. I didn't. And if you go on my Facebook page, go down and see this video of Orrin working with kids. And when I knew him, I didn't know him as somebody who worked with kids. He just worked with something called the Living Stage. And check this out. You know, I only worked with this guy for a few hours and watched him perform once. Seen him at a couple parties because I worked with his wife all the time. But if you watch that video of him with the kids, I said, you know, what I ended up doing with most of my life, working with kids, using improv to teach these life skills. And he said something to me and us in this class that we took 20 years ago. You know, if you're not getting work, go create it. When I say that, that's completely just regurgitating what this guy said. And I tell it to my students all the time. And even more so, now you have things like Periscope and YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Holy moly, if I had these tools at that point, at 20 years ago, I don't know if I had the wisdom then to maximize them. I don't know if I had enough things to say back then to maximize the potential of this, you know. But he said, you know, if you don't have the work, go create it. And I've been saying that, I mean, as an artist, I think that was one of my students, actually. I'll call them back. You know, it's not easy just to create work for yourself. Because if you're a painter, you still have to go sell your painting. If you're an actor, you still have to find a place that'll pay you to act, to sing, to dance. I created my own theater company, basically, with my wife, and do improv comedy, as well as play piano and sing, and dress up as Santa Claus. But we're constantly out there looking for work for ourselves. Never taking a penny in unemployment, never taking a penny in handouts. Maybe this is why I'm still leaning Republican. I think there's way too many people in my circles that abuse those programs. They're there for us when we need them, but they're abused by many people I know and love and respect otherwise. And because they abuse them, my Republican friends want to take them away altogether for the people that really need them. So, and I guess this is why I'm in the middle too, because every time I want to go, I'm this close to signing up as a Democrat, somebody says something stupid. Somebody else says, "Oh yeah, all Republicans are racist." I don't love the Republicans as a party either, but I'm really hoping I can fix or be a part of the solution. And let's apply this whole thing to the GOP. Donald Trump has tapped into the anger of the GOP base and a little bit of the anger of the Democratic base, right? Those few Bernie or bust people that somehow are okay with Trump, but not Hillary. I don't understand it. I understand Trump or bust and you're still with Trump. I understand Bernie or bust and you're not going to vote for anybody. I don't understand Bernie or bust and you're going to vote for Trump, because that seems hypocritical. But Donald Trump, and let's just, at this point, I don't want to say, don't worry, Donald Trump's going to lose, because we all need to go out and vote to make sure that happens. We can't afford a Brexit here. We really can't. Britain is totally screwed by the Brexit phenomenon. Totally screwed over in England because of Brexit. Everyone here is like, look, we got Brexit passed because we all got out and voted. They passed Brexit because too many people that just assumed there's no way this is going to pass stayed at home. So we can't do that. But the GOP, I started to lay it out yesterday and the last few days with the GOP, listening to Mark Levine for about an hour yesterday and listening to people that call in. The good thing is, what's kind of interesting, there's a defeated sense among the extreme GOP. They're pretty much giving up, which probably means that the people that really have to worry about people staying home are the down ballot GOP candidates, the senators, the congressmen, the local governors, and the local whatever. There may be this incredible upset in the wind. And I don't know that that's a good thing. I mean, in some ways it might be a good thing, because it might be a total slap in the face of the GOP. You let this happen. You can't blame any one person. I hear people going on these alt-right radio shows and blaming Paul Ryan and blaming John Boehner. It's his fault. It's Mitch McConnell. It's the elitist fault. It's the Republicans' fault. It's Fox News' fault for not being conservative enough. And you got multiple factions. You know why the GOP has fallen apart? As much as it's the Christian right and alt-right and the extreme right wing, and can we stop calling them Christian right? Screw that, because Christianity is not on trial here. What they are calling Christianity is this perverse extremism that Jesus would say, "What the fuck, dude? This is not what I had in mind." Not at all. If anything, Jesus was like the biggest liberal you've ever met. So Jesus was out there saying, no. We're not going to hate people because how they look. Or, we're not even going to hate them for what they do. You can beat the shit out of me and I'm still going to love you. That's what Jesus said. Jesus didn't say, if you're black and moving on my block, we have to rape or maim you or beat you. If you're gay, if you like penis, we're going to kill you. No, this is not Christianity. To stop saying that we're not Christian enough for you. We're not conservative enough for you. So the people that are in that party, that group of people, and you know what? If you're not racist, if you're honestly not racist, I'm not talking about you, because not all Republicans are racist. There are a lot of people that are racist that don't realize it, but that's not what I want to focus on. Let's see how we can heal this. All right, let's say all those people that are in that extreme extreme area. I mean, I'm talking right of Mike Pence. So extreme they couldn't get elected. Mike Pence is extreme, but he's normal enough to get elected in a Republican state. I think the people. I mean, there's what you say that. How did this guy in Michigan get into office? Michigan's not the most conservative game in town. Not Michigan. I'm sorry, Maine. The dude up in Maine who's just like saying, "Oh yeah, these Leroy's coming to town and raping our women and bringing drugs." How the hell did Maine? I thought Maine was like almost Vermont. I know there's some conservative backwards areas of Maine, but how did that happen in Maine? I'm serious.
What the fuck?
I don't know. I'm on a tangent because I haven't talked about Maine. I don't think at all. We talk about Dick Snyder, King Dick in Michigan, for the executive orders that they've passed. The legislation of Michigan gave him the power of a king over Michigan. Why do you think Kiefer Sutherland keeps picking on you on his new show? He arrested the Michigan governor last week, and it was hard to watch that episode. I'm bouncing around. We need to heal the Republican Party. The Democratic Party can be a little less wingnutish to the left, but they're functioning, right? The Democratic convention served the purpose of bringing all those people in. And Bernie Sanders was a great American and a great leader and basically got up there and said, "I'm with her." And Sarah Silverman said to you, "Bernie or bust people, we get why you're saying this, but it's time to get on the ticket. It's time to get with the program." The Republican convention was a joke. And despite that, the entire party tried to get behind Trump. The entire party tried to get behind Trump. I even had moments where I tried to find a way. I could only, and not even so much that I want to be fair. Oh no, it's more for the reason I want to be fair. I don't want to just get, because one, Hillary is not that great, right? So I have been looking for every reason not to vote for Hillary. Up until midwinter, in the bleak midwinter. Way back then, I was like, there's no way we can let Hillary be our next president. I was never a never Hillary, right? The whole never Hillary, never Trump, Bernie or bust. I'm sorry, you guys just don't understand how this country works. I understand about being passionate for something or against something, but when that passion on the hateful side of the spectrum, as well as the love, it's the blind hate, the blind love. Bernie would have been great in some ways. I still would have been very happy with Bernie as president because this Congress would keep him in check. Because I think he'd be a good leader, but this Congress would say, no, we're not going to let you waste that much money to do this or that. Or we'll let you have certain numbers of people get free college and find ways to pay for it, but not all of it. We're not going to go to a 90% tax bracket like they've had in Europe in the past. Just, don't get me started. I'm not a socialist. I'm not right wing, but I am certainly right of center when it comes to fiscal issues. So, but it's too crazy, and we need to come. And you know what? And those of us that have left the Republican Party need to go back to the Republican Party to fix it. The Libertarians need to go back to the Republican Party. Because you know what's going to happen? Worst case scenario, Republican Party gets stronger. It forces the Democratic Party to be stronger. A better Republican Party. Think about it. If this Republican Party, they had 17 people running for president, and none of them were that great. We blame the Republicans for picking Donald Trump, but Marco wasn't ready yet. Not that Donald was ready, right? Let's be honest, right? Donald wasn't ready. Let me move this a little closer. I keep leaning in to get seen, the lighting and whatnot. Donald's not ready to be president, but Marco was one. It was good for him to run. I think by 2020, he's going to be ready to run for president for real. certainly by 24.
Donald will never be ready.
No, Marco. Donald's never ready. I think if anything else, people said, you know what? Marco's not ready yet. Let's get him out. Let's bring Marco back in 2020, 2024. Let's throw up a Hail Mary that we know is, if we win, we win. Great. Donald should be deported. I know. Libertarians come back. The conservatives come back to the table. You're starting a whole other conservative party, starting a libertarian party. I started to write a blog post, and I think it's actually becoming an entire new website. Because sometimes I don't always remember everything I want to say when I get on the video, and it doesn't always sound that intelligent. It's all up here in concept, but I just started writing, but here's the gist. I think this country works best when there is a strong two-party system. A third party that just spoils things, weakens the two-party system. What's great about a two-party system is at the local level, they can battle it out, right? If it's done right. Now the problem is the two-party system has been weakened by extremism. And a lot of that is because the leadership in the party has let it happen, right? Some of it they weren't given a choice, but for those of you in the so-called Tea Party, the so-called alt-right, the so-called libertarian, the so-called all these different fractions of the GOP need to drop your shit, come to the table, and realize your extreme passion on that one issue will be heard. But you're not always going to get what you want. It doesn't mean you're never going to get what you want, but I tell you what, listen, you know what's really interesting? If you were to give up, and when you gave up the crazy on the abortion thing, you got power back. Because you know what? The country is moving away from pro-life. Most Catholics, whose own Pope tell them that they should be pro-life, most Catholics in this country are not pro-life. Doesn't mean they're pro-abortion. Most Catholics in this country are pro-choice. Nothing scarier to me than like an evangelical Catholic. Crazy noise. Oh, people putting out the trash next door. Oh, what's that? I'm back now. You come back to the table. I'm not saying you need to give up your personal principles. I'm saying you may need to give up your desire to try to control everybody else's. You may need to give up your need to dominate everybody else's life. You want to deregulate Wall Street. And I think the people that I'm talking to right now don't want to deregulate Wall Street. The Republican establishment used your hate for liberals to keep themselves in power so that they can give their friends the tax cuts and the Wall Street cuts and the deregulation, which leads to Bernie Madoff, which leads to the crash in 2009. And everyone's complaining, we've only had 1% growth the last 4 or 5 years. We're only growing at 1%. Oh, that's horrible. In context of the crash in 2009, I'm sorry, maybe with 1% growth, the automatic formula of building a 401k might not work as well now as it did in the 60s, 70s, and 80s when we had this huge amount of growth. Here's the thing. If you just keep on growing, eventually course corrections happen. We had the S&L crisis, right? Savings and loan crisis in the 80s. We had the Great Recession in 2008 and 9. The housing market bubble, right? Maybe if we exercise a little more personal responsibility, don't move into a house you can't afford. Don't buy things that you think you need that you really don't. Focus on each other. Focus on the people in your life. And then don't work 80 hours a week to be like the best at something. Meanwhile, your entire life passes you by in the pursuit of that. You have kids, you have family, siblings, parents, wives, well, wife. Unless you're a polygamist, I'm not here to judge. But multiple, spouses. Ambition is great. I am very ambitious. And I don't even know if I have a balance. I will even argue that I'm on the lazy side. When I am ambitious, I'm so much more successful sometimes. But then I get to that point where I'm working like 60, 70, 80 hours a week, and I'm in the moment, and then all of a sudden I crash. And when I crash, I'm like, was it worth it? Maybe. I mean, maybe someday you want to retire. But what happens, you get to that point, you get to 70 years old, and now you can finally retire because you have the money to retire, you got the savings, you got the 401k, and now you can retire. And now you don't have the body you had when you were 42 do anything with the money. There are plenty of people that are 70 that are wonderful. But how much time did you spend working when you were 40 so that maybe you can enjoy your 70s? Now, I know there are people that maybe enjoy their 20s, 30s, and 40s a little too much. But don't let life pass you by. Don't let life pass you by. Don't let our country fall apart. Don't let your life fall apart because of things, or jealousy because somebody else has those things, or insecurity because you don't think you've got enough. Just drop the ego, drop the insecurity, drop the jealousy, drop all the bullshit, and just start experiencing life. Get on a bike and go let the wind hit your face. Go jump in a pool. Go for a walk and find the prettiest place you can find. If you live in inner city and you need to get in a subway to go to Central Park, or find a park and just breathe a little bit. Find some clean air. Don't spend a fortune on some 5-star hotel you're just going to go sleep in. If you can afford it, God bless. That's great. I'm not telling you not to spend money you've got, but I think there's a lot of people out there that are complaining that life has passed them by. Start thinking about why and stop blaming the world. Because I guarantee it, if you just kind of took a breath and said, we all want everything for our kids, right? Maybe it's easier for me because I don't have kids. I'm like a professional uncle to nieces, nephews, and my theater and acting students and actors that work for me. I feel like a professional uncle. Even in this David Duchovny fandom, I have people calling me dad. I think when our friend Dita did a post last night about missing mom and dad, Larissa and I. And I just said, boy, the kids only come home when they need something, huh? Huh? Yeah, when they want money or they want me to introduce them to my friend David Duchovny. That's the only time they ever come home to say hello. Totally a joke. Not even close.
That's not true.
I'm kidding. No, I'm just kidding. They're like our best friends, so it's just totally a joke. But for all of you that have kids, what are you teaching your kids? You're just we got to make sure Johnny has the video game that Tommy has down the block, so that he feels he doesn't feel like he's got less. No, we don't need to go all bridge to Terabithia and move to the country and give up TVs and everything. Baby steps. But if the things are more important than the people and the experiences, things don't bring you happiness. I'm sorry. Experiences and people do. And hatred makes you feel shitty. So if you stop looking for people to blame and hate, I guarantee it. Even if nothing changes financially, if nothing changes on the outside, inside things will start to change for the better. I'm telling you, if you're in the middle of nowhere and complaining about having a hard time finding a job, having a hard time supporting your family, take a step back. I'm telling you, I cut a whole bunch of stuff out of my life at some point. I was working as a waiter. I was working to pay the bills and not pursuing the dream that I moved to New York to pursue. I moved to New York to become a waiter? No. But for 3 years, I did nothing but wait tables, carry a tray with drinks and food. And I used to be good at it. And when I first started, it was a means to an end. I really enjoyed it. I was really good. I got great tips, sold a lot of desserts, sold a lot of drinks. I was a really good salesperson. And then all of a sudden, I realized I'm not even auditioning anymore. I'm not singing anymore. I haven't sung in a church in 2 years. You know, I haven't had a church job. I haven't done a lot of things in a few years. And I had a total breakdown. And it got worse before it got better. But then, I gave it all up. And I decided to be an actor. I decided that I'm going to be a full-time performer. And I moved into a room. I gave up my big apartment. It wasn't that big, but I gave up having an apartment. I gave up having a car. I gave up having a lot of stuff. I had a crappy phone, and I still do. I had horrible meals. I was going to dollar store for my groceries. I'm not looking for pity. I'm looking for people to say, oh, that guy, we thought that guy is doing pretty good. He has his own company. He has a house now. And meanwhile, I heard all these people, like on financial radio shows, saying, okay, you're in your 20s. You're going to try to save $10,000 to $20,000 this year. I'm like, I don't even think I'm making that much. Or maybe I was, but I was making cash as a waiter, so I have no idea how much money I made. Don't tell the government that. I honestly don't.
When you were in your 20s.
When I was in my 20s, yeah. No, this is going back. Yeah, when I was in my 20s and I'm making cash as a waiter, I had no clue how much money I was making.
Because your paychecks were empty. So
Oh, I definitely paid taxes. Yeah, $200 worth of waiter's pay went to 100% to taxes. But I really don't know. I mean, I was declaring money, but then of course you go to the bar and you spend all that cash at the bar and I'm having a good time. I had a great time in my 20s. In my 30s, I acted the way I should have in my 20s. So in my 40s, I'm where I should have been when I turned 30. I'm 10 years behind. No regrets though, because all that experience, as an actor, I got a lot of experience. And I'm able to do a lot now. And as a teacher, all that adds up. So I'm not saying I have any regrets, but it all came through when I finally stopped worrying about money. And I started focusing on what I'm good at, and I started focusing on getting work at what I do, and I started